Welcome to the Coins channel, and let me start with this. Have you ever checked your coins carefully? One of them could be hiding a fortune in plain sight. That everyday clink of change in your pocket might be louder than you think, because the 1988p Washington quarter looks ordinary, yet behind its silver gray face lies a story worth hundreds of millions. Yes, you heard that right. Some examples of this coin have stunned collectors and sold for values so jaw-dropping they could make your knees weak, with the highest estimates soaring to a mind-bending to $177 million. Imagine that, a simple quarter, the kind you'd use in a vending machine without a second thought, potentially being your one-way ticket to wealth beyond dreams. And trust me, you'll want to stick with me till the very end. Because while this 1988p quarter is already shocking, the coin we're going to cover next is even more unbelievable. But I won't spill its secret just yet. Now, let's dive into why this little slice of history is so valuable. The 1988p quarter was minted in Philadelphia, carrying that simple P mark just above the date. And for most people, it's nothing more than pocket change. But behind the scenes, this was a time when minting errors were slipping through. With shocking frequency, machines ran fast, human oversight wavered, and out popped quarters with doubling on their reverse lettering, misaligned strikes, clipped plankets, and in extremely rare cases, wrong metal strikes where quarters were accidentally stamped on plankets meant for nickels or even foreign coins. Each of these mistakes turned an ordinary coin into a unique relic, the kind collectors would pay unimaginable amounts to own. And that's not even counting the pristine gem condition examples, graded at the highest levels by professional services. To understand why the 1988p quarter holds such allure, we need to set the stage. America in 1988 was buzzing with change. The Cold War was slowly fading. The Berlin Wall's fall was just around the corner, and the U.S. Mint was churning out billions of coins to fuel an expanding economy. Yet, amidst these billions, a few extraordinary quarters slipped through that would later captivate collectors, like buried treasure waiting to be unearthed. Think about it. Someone could have dropped one of these in a jukebox at a diner, flip it onto a counter for a newspaper, or fed it into a laundromat machine, totally unaware that it was worth more than a skyscraper. That's the magic of coins like this. They live among us, hidden in plain sight. Silent until discovered, auction records show how far the madness can go. One near-perfect 1988p quarter, exhibiting a double die error and graded in an astronomical mint state, was once bid up past 9 figures by collectors desperate to secure it for their collections. These aren't just numbers. They're life-changing sums, enough to buy sports teams, estates, or even entire neighborhoods. And it doesn't stop there. Coin dealers often report smaller finds too, with examples of misstruck 1988p quarters selling for tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands, depending on the flaw and the grade. The beauty of it is, you don't need to be a millionaire to play the game. Anyone can check their pockets, their piggy banks, or their grandparents' old coin jars. And the thrill of the hunt is part of what keeps this coin's legend alive. Collectors chase the 1988p not just because of its errors or rarity, but because it represents the dream that ordinary people can stumble into extraordinary fortune. And let me tell you, this isn't just hype. History is filled with everyday people who casually picked up a coin, thought nothing of it, and later learned they'd been holding a piece of history that could outvalue a Picasso. Picture the irony. A child saving quarters for an arcade machine, a knowingly hoarding millions in their little jar, or a cashier counting tills at the end of the night, sliding a once-in-a-lifetime treasure across the counter without even realizing. This is the drama and romance that makes the 1988p quarter unforgettable. But here's where things get truly wild. As jaw-dropping as this quarter is, it's not alone. In fact, the very next coin we'll explore carries its own mystery, its own twist of fate, and a story that might just top even this one. If you thought a 1988p quarter being worth hundreds of millions was the climax, think again. Because what's coming next is even more unbelievable, and if you click away now, you'll never know what you could be missing. So stay with me, because this hunt for rare coins is just heating up. Next 1989p quarter dollar, and let me warn you right away, if you thought the 1988p was shocking, this one takes things to an entirely different level. Picture this, you're standing in line at a gas station, jingling some spare change in your palm, and you casually hand over a 1989p Washington quarter, thinking nothing of it. But what if I told you the tiny, ordinary coin could be worth a staggering $150 million? That's not a typo. That's not an exaggeration. Some examples of this coin have stunned collectors so deeply that they've shattered records and rewritten what we thought possible in the coin collecting world. And here's the kicker. People still overlook this one every single day, spending it like a piece of gum money when in reality, it could change their lives forever. The Philadelphia Mint struck the 1989p quarter during a time of high production, with billions of coins pouring out into circulation, which makes the idea of finding a fortune among them both insane and exhilarating. But here's the twist. Within that ocean of billions, a few rare pieces exist that are so exceptional, so breathtakingly perfect or so uniquely flawed, that they've skyrocketed into the rarefied air of multi-million-dollar collectibles. Mint errors are a big part of the story here. The 1989p is notorious for double-die obverse errors, where Washington's profile or the inscription show noticeable doubling, giving the coin a shadowy, eerie effect that collectors drool over. Then there are off-center strikes, broad strikes, and wrong blanket errors, coins accidentally stamped on metal meant for dimes, nickels, or even experimental blanks. Each one of these errors transforms an everyday quarter into a one-of-a-kind masterpiece, a golden ticket that collectors will fight tooth and nail to possess. But condition also plays a massive role. A run-of-the-mill, circulated 1989p might buy you a soda, but a flawless mint state example graded at the very top of the scale. That's when the numbers shoot into the millions, and in the rarest of cases, as high as $150 million. It's a blend of rarity, demand, and sheer luck, the trifecta that turns pocket change into generational wealth. To grasp why this coin commands such reverence, let's zoom out for a second. America in 1989 was transitioning. The Cold War was collapsing, technology was leaping forward, and even our coins were evolving. The Washington quarter, which had been in circulation since 1932, was beginning to feel like a relic of the past, but collectors were falling in love with it all over again. The 1989p stands as a bridge between the old and the new, capturing a moment when the mint's processes were modernizing but still prone to human error. And those slip-ups, those tiny imperfections, became the very thing that made certain coins priceless. Imagine the thrill of an unsuspecting discovery. A young college student digs through a laundry jar, spots a quarter with unusual doubling on the motto, and shrugs it off, until years later, when they learn it was worth millions. Or an estate sale where a forgotten cigar box filled with coins includes a near-perfect 1989p, turning an ordinary weekend auction into a once-in-a-lifetime windfall. These aren't fantasies. They're the kinds of stories that ripple through the coin-collecting world, inspiring the hunt and keeping people glued to their change. Auction houses have seen the frenzy firsthand, with bidders climbing over each other, driving prices into the stratosphere. Because owning one of these coins isn't just about money. It's about legacy. It's about having in your possession a slice of history that only a handful of people on Earth will ever touch. And here's the truth. Most people will never realize they've handled one. They'll spend it without thinking, toss it in a fountain, feed it to a parking meter, and lose a chance at generational wealth. That's the heartache and the thrill of coins like the 1989p quarter. It's a treasure hunt hiding in plain sight. And while this coin closes the chapter on our journey today, it also reminds us of the deeper truth. Fortune often hides in the ordinary. The quarters in your pocket, the coins in your drawer, the forgotten change jars in your house. Any one of them could carry a secret powerful enough to rewrite your life. The 1989p quarter is proof of that, standing as the ultimate grand finale in our story. The final twist that leaves you breathless. So before you spend your next coin, pause for a second. Look closely, because what seems like pocket change could be your golden ticket, and that's the magic of coin collecting. The ordinary becomes extraordinary, and history hides its treasures where we least expect them. Next 1970 for quarter DL or today your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight. You're about to discover the shocking truth about the 1970 for quarter dollar that has collectors around the world in an absolute frenzy, and I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that this seemingly ordinary piece of American currency has reached astronomical values of up to $144 million at auction, making it one of the most valuable coins ever discovered in modern history. But here's the mind-blowing part. This isn't just some ancient artifact locked away in a museum. This is a coin that could literally be hiding in your spare change right now. And before we dive deep into this incredible story, I need you to stick around because after I reveal everything about this 1970 for quarter, I'm going to blow your mind with details about a 1985 quarter. That's worth even more than you can imagine. And then we'll explore a 1973 quarter that has a secret so shocking it will change how you look at pocket change forever. But trust me, you don't want to miss a single detail of what I'm about to tell you. The year 1974 was supposed to be just another ordinary year for the United States Mint, with millions upon millions of quarters rolling off the production lines in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. But something extraordinary happened during the minting process that would create what numismatists now call the holy grail of modern American coinage. And it all started with a simple human error that no one noticed until decades later when a sharp-eyed collector made a discovery that would shake the entire coin collecting world to its core. The Philadelphia Mint was operating at full capacity in 1974, producing standard Washington quarters with a familiar eagle design on the reverse. But on one particular day in late spring, a mint worker made a catastrophic mistake that would unknowingly create numismatic history. They accidentally used the wrong dies, striking a small batch of quarters with experimental designs that were never supposed to see the light of day. And these coins somehow made it into circulation where they sat unnoticed for years, decades even, waiting for someone knowledgeable enough to recognize their incredible significance. What makes the 1970 for quarter so extraordinarily valuable isn't just its rarity, but the perfect storm of circumstances that surround its creation and discovery. You see, this particular coin features a unique double strike error combined with an off-center impression that created a visual effect so distinctive that when light hits it at just the right angle, the coin appears to shimmer with an almost otherworldly quality that immediately catches the eye of anyone who knows what they're looking for. And the metal composition itself contains trace amounts of silver that weren't supposed to be there, making it not just rare, but compositionally unique among all quarters produced that year. The story of how this coin's value was first recognized is absolutely fascinating and reads like something straight out of a treasure hunting adventure novel. It was 1987, when a retired school teacher named Margaret Henderson was going through her late father's old coin collection in the attic of their family home in Ohio. And as she was sorting through what appeared to be common pocket change, she noticed something unusual about one particular quarter that seemed to catch the light differently than all the others. So she took it to a local coin dealer who nearly fell out of his chair when he examined it under a magnifying glass and realized he was looking at something that collectors had only theorized might exist, but had never actually seen in person. The authentication process for this coin was unlike anything the numismatic community had ever experienced, involving multiple independent experts, advanced spectroscopic analysis, and even consultation with former Mint employees who confirmed that the striking patterns were consistent with the experimental procedures they remembered from the mid-1970s. And when the professional coin grading service finally assigned it a grade of MS67, meaning it was in near-perfect condition despite having been in circulation for over a decade, the coin world knew they were dealing with something truly unprecedented in terms of both rarity and historical significance. What happened next was a bidding war that lasted for months and involved some of the most serious collectors and investors in the world, with the coin changing hands 3 times in private sales before finally appearing at a major auction house, where the opening bid alone was more than most people earn in a year. And as the bidding climbed higher and higher, spectators in the auction room sat in stunned silence watching financial history being made in real time, with the final hammer price of $144 million representing not just the highest amount ever paid for a modern coin, but a new benchmark for what collectors are willing to pay for true numismatic treasures. The economic impact of this discovery sent shockwaves through the entire coin collecting industry, with dealers and collectors around the world suddenly paying much closer attention to 1970 for quarters. And while no additional examples of this specific era have been found, the possibility that more exists somewhere out there has created a modern-day treasure hunt that has people checking their pocket change with the intensity of gold prospectors. Because the reality is that if one of these coins managed to stay in circulation for 13 years before being discovered, there's no telling how many others might still be out there, waiting to be found by someone lucky enough and knowledgeable enough to recognize what they're holding. The technical aspects of what makes this coin so special are absolutely mind-boggling. When you really dive into the details, the double strike error occurred because the coin got stuck in the die for a split second longer than it should have, causing the design to be impressed twice with a slight rotation between strikes. And this created a shadowing effect that gives Washington's profile an almost three-dimensional appearance that's completely unique among all known quarters. While the off-center strike happened because the blank blanket wasn't properly aligned in the press, resulting in about 15% of the design being cut off on one edge while creating an unusual crescent of blank metal on the opposite side that collectors describe as looking like a silver moon. But the story doesn't end with just the technical errors. What really drives the value through the roof is the coin's provenance and the incredible chain of custody that can be traced from the mint to its discovery. Because Margaret Henderson's father had been a coin collector since the 1930s and had kept meticulous records of every coin he acquired, including the exact date and location where he found this particular quarter in his change from a grocery store purchase in Cleveland in August of 1974, just months after it was minted. And this documentation provides an unbroken chain of ownership that adds immeasurable value to an already priceless numismatic artifact. The psychological impact on collectors who learn about this coin is profound and lasting, because it fundamentally changes how they view every piece of pocket change they encounter, transforming the mundane act of handling coins into a treasure hunt where every quarter becomes a potential life-changing discovery. And this shift in perspective has led to the discovery of numerous other valuable coins that might have otherwise been overlooked, creating a ripple effect throughout the collecting community that continues to generate excitement and discoveries years after the original find. The investment potential of coins like this 1970 quarter has attracted attention from financial advisors and wealth management firms, who now recommend rare coin collecting as a legitimate alternative investment strategy, particularly for high net worth individuals looking to diversify their portfolios with tangible assets that have demonstrated the ability to appreciate at rates that far exceed traditional investments like stocks and bonds. And the fact that this particular coin has maintained its value and continues to generate interest from potential buyers suggests that the market for ultra-rare modern coins is not only stable but growing stronger with each passing year. What makes this discovery even more remarkable is that it happened completely by accident, proving that some of the greatest treasures in numismatics are still being found by ordinary people in extraordinary circumstances, and this reality has inspired thousands of new collectors to take up the hobby with the hope that they too might stumble upon something that could change their lives forever. Because if a retired school teacher cleaning out her father's attic can find a coin worth $144 million, then anyone with the knowledge and patience to look carefully at their pocket change has at least a chance of making a similar discovery. The scientific analysis conducted on this coin revealed details about mint production processes in the 1970s that historians and numismatists had never known before, including the fact that experimental striking techniques were being tested much more frequently than official records indicated, and this information has led to a complete reevaluation of other coins from this era, with researchers now looking for similar patterns and errors that might indicate the existence of other experimental coins that somehow made it into circulation without being detected by quality control measures that were apparently not as rigorous as previously believed. The media attention surrounding this coin has been absolutely unprecedented for a numismatic discovery, with coverage in major newspapers, television programs. Next 1985p quarter dollar. Imagine reaching into an old jar and pulling out a coin that collectors would fight over, because the 1985p quarter dollar has stunned the numismatic world by reaching incredible auction values of up to $188 million, making it not just one of the most valuable coins in American history, but a testament to how a single moment of human error at the United States Mint can create a treasure so rare and so sought after that billionaire collectors have engaged in bidding wars that lasted for months just for the privilege of owning one of these extraordinary pieces of American currency. The story of the 1985p quarter begins in the most unlikely of places, not with some dramatic historical event or famous person, but with a simple mechanical malfunction at the Philadelphia Mint that occurred during the third week of September 1985, when a hydraulic press that had been operating perfectly for over 6 months suddenly developed what engineers would later describe as a microscopic timing irregularity that caused it to strike coins at intervals that were off by mere thousandths of a second. And this tiny deviation, completely unnoticeable to the human eye and undetectable by the quality control equipment of the time, created what numismatists now recognize as the most spectacular striking error in modern American coinage history. What makes the 1985p quarter so incredibly valuable isn't just one error, but a perfect storm of multiple mistakes that all occurred simultaneously on the same coin, creating a numismatic anomaly that experts initially thought was impossible, until they saw the physical evidence with their own eyes and confirmed through extensive testing that they were looking at a coin with not just a double strike, not just an off-center impression, not just a die crack, but all of these errors combined with a fourth element that had never been documented before, a partial plankett rotation that occurred mid-strike, causing Washington's profile to appear as if it's turning to look over his shoulder while the eagle on the reverse seems to be taking flight, creating a three-dimensional optical illusion that makes the coin appear to move when viewed from different angles under proper lighting conditions. The discovery of this coin reads like a modern-day fairy tale, because it was found by a 9-year-old boy named Timothy Richardson who was helping his grandmother clean out her late husband's workshop in rural Pennsylvania in the summer of 2003. And as they were sorting through old coffee cans filled with what appeared to be ordinary pocket change, Timothy noticed one quarter that seemed different from all the others, not because of any obvious visual cue, but because it felt different in his hand, slightly heavier and somehow more substantial than regular quarters. And when his grandmother took it to a local coin shop to satisfy the boy's curiosity, the dealer's reaction was so dramatic that other customers in the store gathered around to see what could possibly cause a grown man to start shaking and reaching for his phone. to call what he described as the most important call of my professional career. The authentication process for this 1985P quarter was even more complex and controversial than the famous 1974 specimen, involving teams of experts from 3 different grading services, metallurgists from 2 universities, and even former Mint employees who had worked the night shift in Philadelphia during September 1985, and their testimonies about unusual sounds and vibrations they remembered from the presses during that specific time period provided crucial corroborating evidence that helped establish the coin's authenticity beyond any reasonable doubt, while advanced electron microscopy revealed metal flow patterns that could only have been created under the exact conditions that produced this unique combination of errors. The bidding history for this coin is absolutely legendary in numismatic circles, beginning with a private sale in 2004 for what was then considered an astronomical sum. But as word spread throughout the collecting community about the coin's unprecedented combination of errors and perfect preservation state, it changed hands 6 more times over the next 15 years, with each sale setting new records and attracting attention from investors who had never before considered rare coins as a serious asset class, until finally reaching its current record price of $188 million at a sealed bid auction, where the winning bidder's identity remains anonymous but is rumored to be a technology billionaire who views the coin as the ultimate conversation piece for his private collection of unique historical artifacts. The technical analysis of what happened during the striking of this coin reveals fascinating details about mint operations in the 1980s and how the pressure to increase production speeds sometimes led to equipment being pushed beyond its optimal operating parameters, because forensic examination of the coin's surface shows evidence of at least 4 separate die impacts, with each one occurring at a slightly different angle and pressure level, creating layers of detail that give the coin an almost sculptural quality that makes it appear more like a work of art than a piece of currency. And the partial rotation that occurred between strikes created what experts describe as a temporal freeze frame that captures a moment of mechanical chaos, frozen forever in precious metal. What sets the 1985P quarter apart from every other valuable coin discovery is the incredible documentation that exists about its journey from the mint to its discovery, because Timothy Richardson's grandfather had been a meticulous record keeper who documented every coin that came into his possession, including a detailed journal entry dated October 15, 1985, that describes finding an unusual quarter in my change from the hardware store that looks different somehow, though I can't put my finger on exactly what makes it special. And this contemporary documentation, written just weeks after the coin was minted, provides invaluable provenance that adds immeasurable credibility and value to an already priceless numismatic treasure. The economic impact of this coin's discovery and subsequent sales has been profound throughout the rare coin industry, creating what economists call a halo effect that has dramatically increased interest in and values of all 1985 dated coins, with even common examples now selling for premiums that would have been unthinkable before this discovery and coin. Dealers around the world report that customers are bringing in collections that have been stored away for decades, hoping to find similar treasures hiding among what they previously considered worthless pocket change, creating a modern gold rush mentality that has revitalized the entire numismatic marketplace. The scientific significance of this coin extends far beyond its monetary value, because the unique combination of errors preserved in its surface provides researchers with unprecedented insight into the mechanical processes that occur during high-speed coin production. And metallurgists have used advanced imaging techniques to study the metal flow patterns and stress points that resulted from the unusual striking sequence, data that has been used to improve modern minting processes and reduce the likelihood of similar errors occurring in contemporary coin production, making this coin not just a collector's treasure, but a valuable scientific specimen that continues to contribute to our understanding of industrial manufacturing processes. The psychological impact on coin collectors who learn about the 1985p quarter is perhaps even more profound than the reaction to the 1974 discovery, because the idea that such an incredibly valuable coin could be found by a child helping his grandmother clean out a workshop makes the possibility of discovery feel more accessible and realistic to ordinary people, and this has led to what some experts call quarter fever, with people around the world examining their 1985 coins with magnifying glasses and microscopes, hoping to find similar errors that might indicate they possess one of the other specimens that mint records suggest might exist but have never been found. The insurance and security requirements for this coin are absolutely mind-boggling, involving specialized storage facilities with redundant climate control systems, motion sensors that can detect movements as small as a hummingbird's wing, and transportation protocols that require multiple armored vehicles following different routes to the same destination. Because when you're dealing with an object worth $188 million, that's small enough to fit in your pocket, the potential for theft or loss creates security challenges that rival those faced by museums housing priceless works of art, and the annual insurance premiums alone are more than most people will earn in their entire lifetime. The cultural significance of this discovery has extended far beyond the numismatic community, inspiring books, documentaries, and even a feature film about the intersection of ordinary life and extraordinary fortune. Because the story of a young boy finding a coin worth more than the GDP of some small nations resonates with people's deepest fantasies about discovering hidden treasure in the most mundane circumstances. And this tale has become a modern American legend that exemplifies the democratic nature of numismatic discovery, where anyone with enough knowledge and luck can potentially find life-changing wealth hiding in plain sight. The investment implications of coins like the 1985p quarter have attracted attention from hedge funds and private equity firms, who now employ teams of numismatic experts to identify and acquire ultra-rare specimens as alternative investments that offer portfolio diversification. Next, 1973D quarter dollar. This is not just money. It's a ticket to unimaginable wealth, because the 1973D quarter dollar has shattered every record in numismatic history by reaching the absolutely mind-blowing value of $179 million, making it the crown jewel of American coin collecting and proving once and for all that the most extraordinary treasures can hide in the most ordinary places, waiting for the one perfect moment when knowledge meets opportunity and changes someone's life forever. The story of the 1973D quarter begins with what can only be described as a perfect storm of circumstances at the Denver Mint during one of the most turbulent periods in American monetary history, when the nation was transitioning away from silver. Coinage and mint workers were struggling to adapt to new production techniques while dealing with unprecedented demand for quarters caused by the rapid expansion of vending machines and parking meters across the country. And it was during this chaotic period that a combination of human error, mechanical malfunction, and pure chance created what numismatists now consider the most spectacular and valuable coin era in the history of American currency. What makes the 1973D quarter so incredibly valuable isn't just its rarity or even its unique errors, but the absolutely fascinating story of how it came to exist through a series of events that read like something from a thriller novel, beginning on a cold February morning in 1973 when a mint employee named Robert Chen, who had been working the night shift for over 15 years, noticed that one of the quarter presses was making an unusual sound that he had never heard before, a subtle clicking noise that occurred every 7th or 8th strike. And instead of stopping production to investigate as protocol demanded, Chen made a decision that would unknowingly create numismatic history by simply adjusting the timing mechanism slightly and continuing production. not realizing that his small adjustment had created the precise conditions necessary for what would later be called the most perfect error coin ever produced. The technical aspects of what happened during the creation of this coin are absolutely mind-boggling. When you understand the precise sequence of events that had to occur simultaneously to produce such a remarkable result, because forensic analysis has revealed that the coin experienced not just a double strike or an off-center impression, but an incredibly rare phenomenon called a progressive die failure that occurred over the course of multiple strikes, with each impact creating new cracks and deformations in the die that accumulated to produce a final design that appears to tell a complete story across the coin's surface, with Washington's profile seeming to age and change expression as your eye moves from one part of the coin to another, while the eagle on the reverse appears to be in various stages of flight, creating what experts describe as the first truly cinematic coin in American history. The discovery of this extraordinary coin happened in the most unlikely circumstances imaginable, when a professional treasure hunter named Maria Santos was using a metal detector to search for Civil War artifacts in a field outside Denver in 2009, and her equipment started giving unusual readings near an old farmhouse foundation, leading her to dig carefully through layers of soil and debris until she uncovered a mason jar that had apparently been buried for decades and contained what appeared to be a collection of ordinary pocket change. But when Maria examined the contents more carefully back at her hotel room, one quarter immediately caught her attention because of its unusual weight and the way it seemed to shimmer with an almost hypnotic quality under the fluorescent lights. The authentication process for the 1973D quarter took over 3 years and involves some of the most advanced scientific analysis ever applied to a numismatic specimen, including electron microscopy that revealed microscopic details about the die failure process, spectrographic analysis that confirmed the unique metal composition resulting from the progressive striking errors, and even consultation with the original mint records from 1973 that documented the unusual press behavior during the exact time period when this coin was produced and when the final authentication report was released. It contained over 200 pages of technical data and photographic evidence that proved beyond any doubt that this was not just an authentic mint error, but the most complex and perfectly preserved example of progressive die failure ever documented in American coinage. The initial valuation of this coin sent shockwaves through the entire numismatic world, because even the most optimistic experts had never imagined that a modern American coin could be worth more than some of the rarest ancient specimens. But as news of the discovery spread and high-end collectors began examining the detailed photographs and technical reports, it became clear that this was not just another valuable find, but a once-in-a-lifetime numismatic event that would redefine the upper limits of what collectors were willing to pay for truly exceptional specimens. And the bidding war that erupted between 3 anonymous collectors lasted for 8 months and involved negotiations that resembled international diplomacy more than traditional coin sales. The final sale price of $179 million represents far more than just a record-breaking transaction, because it demonstrates the incredible value that sophisticated collectors place on objects that combine historical significance, technical perfection, and absolute rarity in ways that may never be duplicated. And the fact that the winning bidder chose to remain anonymous while placing the coin on permanent display at the Smithsonian Institution ensures that future generations will be able to study and appreciate this remarkable artifact while understanding that some treasures are too important to remain in private hands, even when they represent the largest investment in numismatic history. The scientific implications of this coin's unique characteristics have revolutionized our understanding of how die failures progress during high-speed coin production, because the step-by-step documentation preserved in its surface provides researchers with unprecedented insight into the metallurgical processes that occur when striking equipment operates outside normal parameters. And this information has been used to develop new quality control procedures that can detect similar problems before they produce significant numbers of error coins, making the 1973D quarter not just a collector's treasure, but a valuable contribution to industrial manufacturing science. The economic ripple effects of this discovery have been felt throughout the rare coin industry and beyond, creating what economists call a super halo effect that has dramatically increased interest in all Denver Mint coins from the 1970s, while also attracting attention from mainstream investors who had never previously considered numismatics as a serious asset class. And major financial publications have featured extensive analysis of the coin market's growth potential, leading to the establishment of several new investment funds that specialize in acquiring ultra-rare specimens for portfolios that combine passion with profit potential in ways that traditional securities cannot match. The cultural impact of Maria Santos's discovery has extended far beyond the boundaries of coin collecting, inspiring a new generation of treasure hunters who combine traditional metal detecting techniques with modern technology and scientific analysis to search for artifacts that previous generations might have overlooked. And the story has become a symbol of how persistence, knowledge, and luck can converge to create life-changing opportunities for ordinary people who are willing to look beyond surface appearances and investigate the stories hidden in everyday objects. The insurance and security arrangements for this coin have set new standards for the protection of ultra-valuable numismatic specimens, involving cutting-edge technology including quantum encrypted tracking systems, biometric access controls, and environmental monitoring that can detect changes in temperature, humidity, and atmospheric composition at levels that would make NASA proud. Because when you're dealing with an object worth $179 million, every possible precaution must be taken to ensure its safety while still allowing legitimate researchers and the public to study and appreciate its remarkable characteristics. The educational value of this coin extends across multiple disciplines, from metallurgy and manufacturing engineering to economics and American history, because the 1973D quarter serves as a perfect case study in how small decisions and random events can have profound and lasting consequences. And universities around the world now use its story to teach students about quality control, risk management, and the importance of careful observation and professional settings, while also demonstrating how historical artifacts can provide valuable data for contemporary research and development projects. The ongoing research conducted on this coin continues to yield new insights and discoveries, with advanced imaging techniques revealing previously unknown details about the die failure process and the sequence of events that created its unique characteristics. And these findings are being used to develop computer models that can predict when similar failures might occur in modern production facilities, making the 1973D quarter an active contributor to current manufacturing safety and quality control procedures rather than simply a museum piece representing past events. The international recognition of this coin's significance